Hey everybody, Derek here for the weekly gaming news for the 20th to the 26th of June 2022. So, I'll get right into it. So, with this week, Sony's new PlayStation Plus revamp, the package, the Essential, Extra, and Premium and/or Deluxe tiers. Why they have so many tiers, I don't know. No more tiers. They should have some Johnson shampoo or something. Anyway, they've all been rolled out, so now every territory has it. It's fully launched everywhere where you can get PlayStation Plus at this point in time. So, I did a video during the week where we went through some of the game catalog. I say some of the game catalog because even though you click on View Games, it doesn't give you all of the games for some reason. Some of them you can only find if you actually search for the name itself. But this article from Eurogamer kind of helpfully goes through every single one of them, and it is a very lengthy list. Now here's the PS5 games that you can get. Here's the PS4 games that you can get. It goes quite a while, really. Here's the PS3 games that you can only stream. Because again, there's no PS3 emulator. Again, that's a lot. That's a lot of games. And then after that, here's a list of PS3 games that Sony have on official channels, but they haven't cropped up on the UK store. Sure, there's a lot of them here. Infamous, I can agree. I haven't been able to find that, which is really annoying. Kind of hope they fix that. It might be a case that it will be coming out later, as they haven't rolled out all the games yet. Hey Melvin, how's it going? Happy Sunday to you too. Here's a big list of all the PS2 games. Not many. You know, you can fit them all on one screen, which isn't great. Kind of hoping there were more than that. And PS1 games, even similarly, even fewer of those. But yeah, that's all of them. Allegedly, here's all the games. So that article will be in the paste bin on YouTube, or you can just search Eurogamer with this title, and I'm sure you'll find it. But that's not all the news from the PlayStation Plus rollout, because in Europe at least, and in Asian territories, we're still getting the PAL version. We're not getting the 60Hz NTSC version that United States, North America are getting. So they clearly have access to it, but they're not giving it to people. Why? Let's just give it to us. Now, Sony have said that it will provide the NTSC options for a majority of these games, not all of them. A majority of these games in the future, though not detailed when or what games. I read Infamous is exclusive to the US. Why? Why, Melvin? Tell me why. Why? Why is it exclusive to America? It's stupid. Does that mean play Infamous, you dicks? We're planning to roll out NTSC options for a majority of classic games offered on the PlayStation Plus Premium and Deluxe plan in Asia, Europe, Middle East, India, South Africa, Australia, and New Zealand regions. When? What games? Dunno. But yeah, they clearly have access to the NTSC version, so just, give NTSC versions. Stop giving me the shit versions through this. Also, PS Plus games have expiry dates. Some of them do, at least. So, two notable ones, Shadow Warrior 3 and Siberia, have last chance to play. They show up in this last chance to play section, down at the bottom of the benefits. Because they are annoying us. Yeah, that's what they do. The issue is that PlayStation has a splintered PR group or operations groups or whatever. Like the United States one, the European one, and the Asian market ones are all technically a different company, and they don't all work together. Whereas Microsoft and Nintendo, even though there's Nintendo of America, Nintendo of Europe, and so on, it's all the one company. It's a very strange setup that Sony have. But anyway, there is a last chance to play section at the very bottom of the PlayStation Plus thing. If you go into it, you will note that these two games have an expiry date. So, former Shadow Warrior 3 is going to be gone at the end of this week, end of next week. So, shit, I better start playing that. You better get in there as soon as you want on that. Siberia will be gone the week after that, by the looks of things. But they're not the only ones, because games that have an expiry date but aren't in the last chance to play. So last chance to play does not give you a lot of time. But these games, sports rally game, and then the Red Dead Redemptions is will all be gone soon-ish, in the next couple of months, all from the same company, 2K, I think, are responsible for all of these. Maybe not World Rally, I'm not sure. I'd have to check that up, but it seems 2K are like, no, expiry. And I guess the rumor is they're planning on doing a Red Dead Redemption remake, remaster or something. And if the original is already available on the service, people mightn't be pushed to get the remaster. I don't know, I would still. And if you could get it, if it makes it look less brown, I think I would probably get it. So yeah, still some caveats with the PlayStation Plus rollout. So there's still the fact that the European versions are still getting the PAL stuff for PS1 and PS2 games. And that turns out games have expiration dates. Now, like, Game Pass has the same thing. You know, games do drop off Game Pass and come back sometimes later. Similarly, people bill this PlayStation Plus service like a Netflix thing for games, and again, shows drop off Netflix, come back, films drop off and come back, and so on, as different licensing deals expire and all that jazz. So it's entirely possible that this is a contract thing with 2K, and maybe they'll renew it, who knows. Okay, so that was the PlayStation Plus rollout. If you want a deeper dive into that, I did a full video run through of it. There's a VOD of it on the channel if you want to check that out. But elsewhere, Plague Tale Requiem had a fairly lengthy gameplay video. So I've played the original Plague Tale Innocence on the channel. There's a full it's not a walkthrough. It's a full LP, a full Let's Play of Plague Tale Innocence. My internet would like to stop being shit for a second. We might be able to see this in 720 maybe, at least. I don't know. We're gonna have to put up a blurry screen for whatever reason. Anyway, there's an extended gameplay thing where they took you through a couple of levels. It is fairly lengthy, but it's pretty standard Plague Tale stuff. Like, it doesn't seem terribly new. Amicia appears to have some kind of detective vision now, though, which is kind of a weird addition to the game, because you didn't have it in the first one. I wonder, can I skip to it? It's very pretty, and the lighting in Plague Tale was always very good. But yeah, there you go. There's like a pulse thing they have now. Because Hugo, your brother who tags along with you, has some sort of mental connection to this plague of rats that are plaguing the land, as you will. That's why it's called a plague tale. It's tons of rats trying to kill everybody, basically. Yeah, so the outcome of the first game was that he has some kind of mental connection to them now. So this is a pulse that the rats that are around in the area can also sense these people, and they're feeding that information back to him. I guess it makes the stealth a bit easier. There was a bit of trial and error in the first game. It was kind of annoying in that sense. So knowing where enemies are might be a little bit easier. It also gives them a chance to make the stealth more complicated. Because if you have this additional tool where you can see where the enemies are, that means the enemies can be a bit more active. You know, they're not having to stick to very rigid routes or stand in place and stuff like that. So that might be interesting. But yeah, that's a fairly lengthy video, so check that one out. Again, just search for it or look in the paste bin. Another game that was shown off is Mo, Path of the Teal Lotus. Just finished up its Kickstarter. It was successful. This is from the same people who did another Metroid 2 remake. That was the name of the game. It got very much cease and desisted by Nintendo, but they did a very impressive Metroid 2 remake, basically, in the Unreal Engine. And I guess they used that as testing and to get experience in programming and so on. And now they're going to make this that has a very Hollow Knight meets Okami kind of vibe to it. So you've got your side-scrolling Metroidvania type thing. It's got a very strong Okami Japanese art style, but from the way I've seen the gameplay in this video and some other gameplay demos they've done on their Kickstarter, it very much looks like it's a Hollow Knight type thing. So yeah, interested to see more about that. Sony just completed its Kickstarter, so it'll be a while before we have anything else to say about it. But yeah, looks cool. And then very quickly, I'm just going to say that there was a Xenoblade 3 direct during the week, and that's all I'm going to talk about, because I didn't watch it, I don't want to watch it, I don't want to know anything about it. I'll figure it out when the game comes out, and that's it. It's there. If you want to check it out, knock yourselves out. I am currently doing a Let's Play of Xenoblade Chronicles on the channel. I am planning to play the original and the sequel before the third one comes out, but that's probably not going to happen because you notice it's like in a couple of weeks. I still haven't finished the first one, so it's probably not going to happen. But whatever, we'll try. Okay, this week, new releases. So first up is Madison, which has a very strong Layers of Fear vibe to it. It is first-person psychological horror thing where you have access to a Polaroid camera that can be used to solve puzzles. It's also used to light your way in dark areas, like you don't have a torch or a flashlight, you need the flash of the Polaroid camera to see where you're going. It has like really big tension building to it because you're in a dark void, take a picture. Okay, nothing terrible, except that time there was something terrible, and so on. So yeah, if you're into that, there's a fear horrible shit happening. Yeah. I'm not, but it looks really good. And then Elechead, which was in a Nintendo Direct a while ago for the Nindies Indie World Showcase. This is made by one developer who built something very similar for a university project and decided, you know what, people really like this game. I liked making it. Let's keep going. Let's keep doing it. So yeah, it's a puzzle game. You're a little electric guy who can detach his head, and his head is charged, and anything you're in contact with becomes charged, and that changes how things operate. I'm looking to probably check this out, not next week, probably the week after. We might do a fully plays Elechead for a bit, because I like the look of it. We'll see how it turns out. Okay. Unfortunately, it is now time to talk about the worst parts of video games. Video game industry. So, Activision shareholders had a vote this week on a number of different topics. But probably the most annoying one of all, and most frustrating, and most, of course, they did, is the majority of Activision Blizzard shareholders have voted in favor of re-electing the firm's 10 directors of the board, including Bobby. So yeah, no comeuppance, no you tanked the share price, no, none of that, just you managed to facilitate us getting bought by Microsoft for an obscene amount of money. That's it. Nothing about sexual harassment, nothing about Bobby threatening to murder people, nothing about union busting. Money. Just money. 91% of shareholders voted to extend the current board's term to the end of next year. Sorry, the end of tax year. It was like 2024 or something like that. 88% voted in favor of the company's executive compensation package. So yeah, you're doing a great job. Not only that, but here, more money. Shareholders, however, were massively against appointing an employee representative for the firm. 95% voted against the idea of having an employee representative sit on the board. Wow. That's big. Fuck you. Do the work. Make us money. And shut up about it. I mean, not surprising, it's the shareholders we're talking about here rather than stakeholders, so it shouldn't be surprising, but 95% is very fucking eat the rich vibes coming off that. It's very much, we do not particularly care about employees, we just care about how much money we make. So yeah, not exactly surprised, but there you go. One interesting thing, though, however, is 67%, so a little bit split on this. 67% voted in favor of a report that details how Activision Blizzard is responding to allegations of harassment at the firm. So, an idea that they will put out an annual report of what they are doing to combat sexual harassment, toxic workplaces, pay equality, all that stuff. Mostly because New York AGs and employment boards have been asking for it for a while, so it's possible they'll come under subpoena to do it at some point. And yeah, again, that will also take another hit to their share price. So they're still very much protecting their money here, but that's at least something. That's at least it's something for employees. The issue, though, is that this is non-binding, and the board can just say nah. We're not doing that part. We'll totally do the part where you give us more money, but we're not going to do the part where you hold us accountable. No. I don't want to do that one. Staying with Activision, Tony Hawk says Activision scrapped a 3 and 4 remake following Vicarious Visions merger. So Vicarious Visions responsible for the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake that came out a while ago. So this is from Tony himself. That was the plan even up until the release of 1 and 2. We were doing 3 and 4, then Vicarious kind of got absorbed, and then they were looking for other developers, and then it was over. The truth of it is Activision were trying to find somebody to do 3 and 4, but they just didn't really trust anyone the way they did Vicarious, so why didn't they leave Vicarious to do it? So they took other pitches from other studios, like what would you do with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater title, and they didn't like anything they heard, and that was it. Who knows, maybe when the dust settles we'll figure it out, you never know. I never would have thought we were going to do 1 and 2 20 years later, which is fair. So why didn't they let Vicarious Visions keep doing what they were doing? Because they were responsible for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, which was received favorable reviews, sold 1 million copies within its first 2 weeks. That's insane for a remake. And Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, another remake, 10 million in its first 2 years. Again, incredibly successful. No. Fuck you. Go work on Blizzard titles as a support studio. No more creative development for you. So, those 2 games was the last time Vicarious Visions, where a developer would no longer be creating games as a lead studio. They'd only be a support studio for other Blizzard titles. So that's like Overwatch, Warcraft, Diablo, that kind of thing. Vicarious Visions have become fully dedicated to existing Blizzard games and initiatives. So yeah, no more new games from them. No more lead developer on them. No diversification whatsoever in the Activision Blizzard portfolio. It's just Call of Duty and Overwatch and Diablo, I guess, when they remember it. That's about it. Speaking of no diversification, DICE now has no time for projects like Mirror's Edge as it commits solely to Battlefield. Nah, we're not going to make any other games. We're going to take one of the better first-person developers and just have them dedicated solely to one property and nothing else. DICE has ruled out a return for any of its other franchises for now. This is from Rebecca Kutaz, who is the recently appointed general manager of DICE. We are only focusing on Battlefield 2042, a game a lot of players don't care about, but okay. There is no time for anything else, and that is what we want to do. Doubt. Citation needed. Let me talk to the rest of your employees and see if that's also still what they want to do. DICE has focused heavily on the Battlefield franchise in recent years, though they did decide to just put a Star Wars skin on Battlefield and call it Battlefront in like a little bit in between, but otherwise it's been pretty much just Battlefield for quite a while now. All of DICE is focused on the Battlefield franchise, including its main team in Stockholm, LA, based Ripple Effect, plus a growing Seattle studio formed by Halo co-creator, and then a mobile developer, Industrial Toys, who's working on a Battlefield app. Battlefield. Just all Battlefield all the time. Definitely no one's gotten fatigued with Battlefield. No. Definitely not going to see developers jumping ship anytime soon. But yeah, disappointing that they won't, like, try. Not that I want them to go back to Mirror's Edge necessarily. I mean, like, that would be nice. But just a new IP would be good from very good developers, you know? Like, they make solid stuff. Let's have some new games from you. That would be appreciated. Okay. We'll finish out with some dumb stuff. So, devs share the wild secret hacks your favorite games rely on. So this is a fun little article from Kotaku. It's just collating a bunch of really weird developer stories that kind of came out over the week. So one interesting one is that in Assassin's Creed 1, there is no actual horse model. There is horse riding, but there's no actual horse model skeleton. It's actually a human skeleton that they have twisted and morphed to look like a horse. Because they didn't have the pipeline to make horse animations and stuff. So they've just really, really fucked up a human skeleton to make a horse for their model, which is pretty funny. Is a good story from Titan Quest developers who they wanted to have scripting in their game for different things to happen. So when you pass a point in the map, something will happen. And the issue was they hadn't built in a timing system for it. They didn't have a timers, so what they really wanted was, when you pass this point, 5 seconds later, this happens. So they couldn't do the 5 seconds later thing. So anytime they wanted something to happen, it happened immediately. So what they ended up doing was that they, instead of using like actual seconds, they used the idle animation of a squirrel. So a squirrel would have an idle animation where it would clean its mouth in the game, and they basically just used, when that happens 5 times, then trigger this thing. It's just so stupid, but yes, of course he did that. And there's tons of other really good ones here. I think a very famous one is that Fallout. It's one of the Fallout expansions. Yeah, it's this one here. One of the Fallout expansions has a moving train that goes in and around the map. The issue is they didn't have an actual train model or to do that kind of animation and to do that kind of timing or whatever. So what they did instead is they just plonked the model on top of an NPC, and they bury the NPC model into the ground so you never see the body, and the body is just walking. It's just walking around the area. And that is the best hack. But anyway, there are tons of these in this article. They're all very, very funny. And definitely make me feel better about all the hacks I do in my own development. But anyway, hang on, let's leave. No, that's horrible. Let's leave you to play. So that was the news for 20th to 26th of June 2022. Not a huge amount going on. It's mostly the Activision shareholders meeting and voting thing. There's some like rumors and stuff going on, but I don't like to put rumors in the news show because they're just rumors. They don't want to corroborate these things. Like there's rumors that there'll be a Nintendo Direct next week at some point, and what will be actually be on. Sorry, that's not a rumor. There will be a Nintendo Direct next week. It's what will actually be on it. That kind of thing. Some Ubisoft games are getting certified, so they might be seeing a release soon and so on. Like there is other news happening. It's mostly rumor and not substantiated. I haven't really dived into PlayStation Plus Premium yet, really. Mostly because when it came out, I had streams back to back, so I don't know. We'll get around to it at some point. Elechead we're seeing here. I will probably show it off on the channel at some point. Maybe next week, or week after next. Madison, I probably will not. So might need to find somebody else to play that game. But speaking of this week, rather, we continued playing Vampire on Tuesday. We played more of The Quarry on Wednesday. We're starting to see some actual gore now. Thursday, we had a look through the PlayStation Plus Premium game catalog. Friday, we played some Neon White, which is a really fun visual novel and speedrunner parkour game. There's a lot of very strange mashups going on in it, but it works. It works really well. I really liked it. And then yesterday we continued Xenoblade Chronicles. We're getting to the end of that, and we'll possibly see the end in 2 weeks, maybe 3. Probably the day Xenoblade Chronicles 3 comes out. We'll possibly have finished the first one. But next week, we need to decide what we're playing. So, get my coin. Is the right one? Yeah. Okay. So we have to decide between Bayonetta and it said full screen. Will you not go full screen? Anyway, so we have to decide between Bayonetta and Vampire. So I have my coin here. I think I've shown before. So there's like a kind of youthful warrior maiden on this side for Bayonetta, and then there's like a skeleton knight, undead knight kind of thing on that side for Vampire. So Vampire was first. So we played Vampire this week, so I'm going to put Vampire on the top. And we'll see what we're going to get this week. So far it has been 2 for 1 for Vampire. And Vampire again. 3 for 1. So the stats, the 50-50 stats are thrown off a little bit at the moment, but I guess they'll come back later. Alright, so Vampire on Tuesday, so not Bayo. Sorry, Bayo. It's actually going to be Vampire instead. Okay, so we're going to play Vampire on Tuesday. We're going to continue with The Quarry, which is a kind of camp counselor slasher flick, but a video game. And and we're getting into more of the actual horror stuff now. We've gone through the kind of setup, we've been introduced to all the characters, we've been introduced to the premise. Now it's time to kill everybody, basically, or try not to get them killed. I don't know, depends. Some of them I'm happy enough to see them be killed off because I don't like them very much. And Xenoblade Chronicles, which is a fairly classic JRPG. We're playing the Definitive Edition that has a bunch of upgrades, visual upgrades, and some gameplay quality of life stuff. Coming to the end of that now, we'll probably take a break before we jump into Xenoblade 2, so we'll probably say something else. So I have been teasing that we're going to talk about what we're doing for the rest of the year, so the next 6 months on Foley Plays. So here is my plan. Can you full screen Chrome? Yeah, cool. So here's my plan for the next 6 months or so. So on the left we have the games we're playing at the moment. So we have Vampire, Bayo, The Quarry, Xenoblade Chronicles, and then the 2 games that I'm planning next for full Let's Plays are Batman Arkham Asylum and Resident Evil. But then after that, it's going to be a bunch of one-shots, so Foley Plays something for a bit, and then some other Let's Plays, because neither of these 2 are particularly long, so I don't think they'll take that long to actually complete. So we have Stray, which is the cat game. It's the game where you play as a cat, walking around doing puzzles and platforms and stuff like that. It's been shown off a couple of times. Should be fun, hopefully. Cult of the Lamb is like a Devolver Digital's kind of like Animal Crossing / Binding of Isaac kind of thing. It's a very strange matchup. Deliver Us the Moon is probably what I will play after The Quarry. Deliver Us the Moon is a first-person narrative sci-fi disaster thing where you are sent to the moon to figure out what has happened to the solar energy collecting array up there, and to figure out what's going on and maybe restore it, hopefully. Tunic is a Legend of Zelda, like the old Legend of Zeldas. Has been getting really good reviews where you play as a fox instead of Link, but it is more or less the same. Forspoken, not too sure of because I don't know if it will keep its release date, but Forspoken is Square Enix's newest IP. It's like it's not magical girl, it's more of an isekai, I suppose, where modern day woman is pulled into a fantasy universe and turns out she's the chosen one, something like that. Visually it looks really nice. It reminds me a lot of Infamous, which is why I'm annoyed it's not on PlayStation Plus. But hey, I might still scratch that itch there. Evil West is a very interesting sort of like very close combat God of War, the new God of War style, like very low over the shoulder melee combat with like Wild West guns and stuff. But it's also got crazy magic and shit going on, so that might be interesting. Plague Tale Requiem, as we showed off already on the show, I'm planning to do a Let's Play of that as well when it comes out in October. Severed Steel is really interesting first-person parkour and gun stuff. It looks a bit Ghost Runner but guns instead of a katana. And one of the interesting things is that this particular character only has one hand. This hand on the side here does not. There's no hand there on that arm. So they can't reload their gun, basically, is the conceit. That's their conceit for it. So you use up the gun, throw it away, pick up a new one. It might be interesting. Steel Rising is a bit Bloodborne, but make it the French Revolution. I'm on board. I'll play that. Resident Evil 2, following on from Resident Evil. That's the idea there. Resident Evil 4 remake will be out in March of next year, so I'm kind of hoping to get 1, 2, and 3 in before that, and hopefully the original Resident Evil 4 before that comes out. Marvel's Midnight Suns is a bit XCOM and Marvel characters. A little bit. Not quite, but it's a little bit like that. I do want to start the Dark Pictures anthology games. So Man of Medan is the first one. I think it's also coming to PlayStation Plus next week for people on PlayStation Plus Essential. It'll be one of the free games, so you can play along if you want. I'll probably start that after Deliver Us the Moon. 2 Point Campus is a bit like 2 Point Hospital, except it's a university now instead. And if you aren't familiar with 2 Point Hospital, you might be familiar with Theme Hospital. It's a fairly old sim hospital management game. It doesn't take itself very seriously. 2 Point Hospital was a spiritual successor made by a lot of the developers who made the original. Two Point Campus is the same idea, but you're on a university instead. Signalis had a pretty decent showing at a lot of the indie showcases. It just looks really nice. It's really low fidelity. It really hits me like a PS1 game, but with some really like well done art style. It looks very grim and very scary. So that will be interesting. The Callisto Protocol is the complete opposite. It is extremely high fidelity horror made by the people who made the original Dead Space, but they don't own that IP anymore, so they're going to make Dead Space again, but just change the name, more or less. It looks very good. Thymesia is Bloodborne, but make it the Spanish flu, pretty much, because now you're a plague doctor, so that'll be interesting too. Solstice looks very Devil May Cry. It looks like a Western Devil May Cry attempt, and I like what I've seen of it. We'll see how that goes. Midnight Fight Express is any 80s brawler, one-man vigilante army type thing. It's kind of like that. Rollerdrome, it just looked really interesting on its trailer. You're basically on roller skates, but you also have guns, and you're doing like gun fu parkour stuff in a like roller derby rink kind of thing. I don't know, it might be fun. Deliver Us Mars is obviously the sequel to Deliver Us the Moon, so we'll have Deliver Us the Moon finished before that comes out. So it's a question of whether or not we'll have Mana Badan done before that comes out. And then Gotham Knights is why I'm starting the Arkham series, so it's unlikely we'll get through Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and Arkham Knight before Gotham Knights, but maybe. I doubt it, but maybe. Bayo 2 after Bayo 1. It'll be a while, I'll probably take a break, mostly because I don't know when Bayonetta 3 is coming out. It's meant to come out at the end of this year, but there hasn't been an update on its release date, so we don't know. Soul Hackers 2 is a really interesting JRPG that has very strong Persona vibes and very strong Shin Megami Tensei vibes, so it's sort of, if they were at two extremes, then Soul Hackers is somewhere in the middle of the two of them. And then there's a sprinkling of some games in there that I might get to and that I really want to get to. I do want to feature them on the channel eventually. It's whether we'll get to them this year or not. So Heaven's Vault is a adventure title where you decipher an ancient language and try to figure out what it says and use that to solve puzzles, and you'll find out that your translation might have been wrong or slightly off, so you'll need to amend it and things like that, but it's extremely well done, and I do want to show it off. Very interesting game. Okami is just an excellent Zelda game. It's very, very good, and I do want to, again, showcase that on the channel. Neo is a game I've been threatening to play for a very long time, because it's Dark Souls, but make it Age of Warring States in Japan. Monster Hunter, again, another game I've been threatening to play on the channel for a good while now. That's mostly a case of will my internet hold up to streaming and playing it at the same time, which I'm not sure it will. Right, I think that's all of them except the big one, which is the Final Fantasy VII Remake, because I'm a very big Final Fantasy VII fan. Like, it hit me exactly when, you know, games that hit you when you're in and around 11, 12, and 13 are kind of the games that stick with you. You know, it's right in your formative years when you're trying to figure out things about the world, and yeah, it came out. Final Fantasy VII came out when I was bang on 12 years old, so big Final Fantasy VII fan because of that. But I'm like terrified of playing the remake. Like, I haven't played it yet because I've been putting it off, and I just want to make sure I'm in good frame of mind to play it. I'm not massively stressed and depressed and so on. Like, I'm going to have a good time. You know, I want to go in knowing that I'll have a good time with it. That's why I've been putting it off for ages, because I haven't felt like that. But then they showed off the sequel trailer, and now I'm like, yeah, I really should get around to playing it. Really should. So yeah, someday it'll happen when all the other games have been played, possibly. But yeah, there it is. That is the plan going forward. Should probably have put that on the main screen so you guys can see it better, but there we are. So yeah, that is the plan going forward. This little square mosaic will be the games that will show up on the channel in the next 6 months. So we'll just go through them. Vampire, Stray, A Plague Tale Requiem, 2 Point Campus, Midnight Fight Express, Maybe Monster Hunter, maybe not. Probably not really. Bayonetta, Cult of the Lamb, Severed Steel, Signalis, Roller Drum. Oh, I forgot to mention Tales of Arise is another JRPG that I really want to get around to playing. The Quarry, Deliver Us the Moon, Steel Rising, Callisto Protocol, Okami, and Neo, Xenoblade Chronicles, which we're playing at the moment, Tunic, Resident Evil 2, Thymesia, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, possibly, Deliver Us Mars, Batman Arkham Asylum, Forspoken, Midnight Suns, Solstice, Bayonetta 2, Gotham Knights, Resident Evil Remake, first one, Evil West, Dark Pictures Man of Medan, Heaven's Vault, Soul Hackers 2, and the Final Fantasy VII Remake. That's a lot. It's a lot, so much that you think there's no way he's going to fit that in 6 months, and you're right. Vast majority of these will be one-shots. We'll play them for a bit, show them off, that'll be it. They're not going to be full Let's Plays. One or two of them will definitely be full Let's Plays. Some of them might turn into full Let's Plays, but the vast majority are going to be one-shot games. That is my plan. It's not necessarily set in stone. I'm sure there'll be plenty of games dropped, possibly even during the Nintendo Direct next week. That might change this. This is the plan, at least. So let me know what you think of this, the games I should sub out and sub in. There's also options for like games getting added to the PlayStation Plus service that I might want to drop in instead. If the Steam Deck releases a dock at some point, then there's a ton of PC games I'd really like to play on the channel. That could change up as well. But do let me know what you guys think. I'm very interested to know what everyone thinks of these games. And how many of them you're looking forward to, how many of them you're like, I'm going to skip that video, and how many of them you're like, I've never heard of this game at all. Anyway, that's it from me for this week. So that was the news, and that was the channel update. Hopefully that was at least entertaining for your Sunday. Anyway, I'm going to head off now, and I have a ton of Xenoblade grinding to do in the meantime. Anyway, hopefully see some of you for more Vampire on Tuesday, possibly finishing it. We're pretty close to the end of the game now, so we might finish it then. Or there might be one more stream left in it. Anyway, I'm going to head off. Have a good rest of your day, or have a good morning, or have a good breakfast, or whatever it is you're doing. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.